Welcome to the Gap Mastermind call, where we talk about growth, action, and productivity. I am Rebecca Soto, your host, and I will be introducing our co-host today, which is our great partner, Mike Collier. And I'm so excited because, Mike, he's been in the industry for a minute. And together we've been here at eXp Realty working together as partners, and just love every time we get some time with Mike. So Mike, I'm gonna go ahead and kick it off to you and help introduce our guest speaker for today.
Absolutely. What's going on, Gap Mastermind? Drop me some fires in the chat. I want to see that y'all are here. I want to see that you're excited. As you can see, I'm excited, and I want you to be excited for our guest. Man. So first of all, I know that we have rock stars. Just so you know, Sarah. I just want to let you know we have rock stars that are on our calls, right? And many of them understand the importance of getting their time back. Most of them want to dominate their market. Some of them already doing a great job at dominating their market, whether they're working with sellers or working with buyers. But I think in 2025, we have to do something different. Everybody knows that we have to do something different. We're working differently than we were before. And so in 2025, I know that agents understand the best agents must list to last. We must list to last. And you can't just have the goal of getting listings and growing your business without really having a plan. That's a goal, but that's not a plan. There's two different things. And so in order to hit our goal, we have to have a plan. And in order to have that plan, there means that there has to be certain systems and processes in place to make that happen. And so today, we have Sarah. Sarah, how do I pronounce your last name? Because this is recorded and I don't want to mess that up. Is
Yeah,
it
Mailloux.
Mailloux?
Mailloux.
Okay,
Yeah.
because that was not what I was going to say. All right, so we have Sarah Mailloux with High Fellow. Now, I actually just signed up for Fellow, so I'm
Oh,
extremely
nice.
excited.
Love
Like
it.
literally, I'm a brand new customer. I just got it last week. It's like a brand new toy. I'm trying to
Cool.
figure out how to play with this thing and how to use
Yeah.
it. So
Awesome.
this is very like timely that you're going to be the host, that you're going to be hosting this discussion on really um why listings are the key to our growth and to getting everything that we need, whether it's through revenue and time back through listings. And so I'm really, really excited. So man, make sure you guys have your note takers out. You're ready to take some notes. Drop some questions in the chat. We are going to get to some Q&A at the end. So make sure you stay tuned to the end so we can get your questions answered. And Sarah may have some special stuff for you before we get off. All right. So without further ado, everybody put some fires in the chat. Give some round of applause for Sarah Mailloux with Fellow.
Yeah.
What's up, Sarah?
Hi there. Thank you, Mike, for the intro. Super excited to be here. Let me try to share my screen. Yeah, and I look forward to getting into it with you guys. Let's see. All righty. Can everybody see this okay?
You see it.
Okay, perfect, perfect. So yeah, again, I'm Sarah from Fellow, and I've been in the industry for about 10 years, different, sales and marketing space. Let me move that bar a little bit down. But I'm going to be talking today on how to build a listing-based business in 2025. Going to be sharing some tips and strategies, and at the end, I have some special bonus content that I think you guys will love. So, starting off, some of the best agents and teams out there are really leveraging their database to get a stream of consistent listings in there. So, I want you guys to think, how well are you currently leveraging your database? And if you think about it, building a database is hard. It takes time, it takes money. People invest thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of dollars into building their database. And really, are you getting as much out of it as you could be? So I want you to take a guess in the chat. How many contacts in your database will list their home this year? If you guys can drop your best guess in the chat. And I don't know, Mike, if you have the chat open, if you could read me some of the answers.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be watching the chat. You guys drop that in there. How many contacts in your database? will list their home this year? That's a good question.
So a
Are you
very
looking for a
common
number or percentage?
either.
Oh, okay. All right. We got
Yeah.
3%. Somebody said 3%.
Okay. All right. All right. Yeah, no, that's a good guess. The
Uh,
most common answer we actually get is people say, I don't know. And they say, I don't know because people really don't know how many homeowners are in their databases. Because on average, databases really consist of about 80% buyers. So the answer actually is 5%. So 5% of your database is going to list their home in the next 12 months. So if everybody takes a second and does the math, right, 1,000 listings in your database, that's 50 listings. 10,000 people in your database, that's 500 listing opportunities. 20,000 people in your database, that's 1,000 listing opportunities over the course of the year. So a lot of times people will say, well, that sounds really high. And that sounds really high because, again, they're coming in as buyer leads, but you have to consider, you know, everybody lives somewhere. So are they renting a home or are they homeowners? We're trying to determine the homeowners and capture those opportunities. But even just looking at that 5% number, it can get really exciting to see all the opportunities that are available to you to get more listings. Now, there's 3 core strategies we want to go through. It's generate, automate, and convert. And I'll break down these 3 different levels. Starting out with generate. So again, you have a bunch of buyer leads in your database. How can we turn the corner and turn those buyer leads into seller leads? Now, there's one specific strategy in order to do that, and that's finding addresses. So a couple ways to find property addresses. The first way, you can use different tools and technologies out there for skip tracing. The second way, if you guys have a relationship with a title company, you know, work with them to try to fill in some of the gaps and get some property addresses. And then the third way is to ask the consumer, ask the homeowner through like email marketing messages, start getting some of these property addresses and improving the quality of the data. Now, taking a step one step deeper here, converting buyer leads into seller leads. What we know about seller leads to be true is that they're, you know, hard to come by. Like buyer leads are very abundant, seller leads are harder to come by, much more expensive, right? So they cost like 2, 3, 4, 5 times as much as buyer leads. So just being able to turn those buyer leads into seller leads, ton of value there. So that's the first thing we want to look at with building a database of homeowners. Second thing we want to look at is getting seller messaging really everywhere. In order to do that, you need a way to capture the seller information. So through tools like QR codes and landing pages, some ways to leverage different QR codes, and we mean like really put the messaging everywhere. You can put them on, you know, business cards. You can put them on signs at open houses. One of the most successful use cases I've heard of QR codes is actually a client over at Fellow. And what they do is when they get a listing, they'll put a for sale sign in front of the house, of course. Next to the for sale sign, they put just a simple sign with a QR code and says like, what's your home worth? As buyers go into the house to check it out, many of them, as you know, have to sell their current house first. So they're scanning to get their home value. Now this team is converting 10% of those scans into listings, which is really unbelievable. So it's like, how can you get creative by putting some of these seller messages everywhere? One way to do that as well, I want to pop, let me see. I was going to show you Veronica's website live, but I can just show you like the screen. So Veronica and the FIG team, they do a wonderful job about having seller messaging on their website. So that's really like the next piece of this. Your website can really be your best salesperson. Sellers go to real estate websites in order to make a hiring decision. The majority of real estate websites I've seen are really buyer heavy, right? They have like the big toolbar that says, you know, search for homes and not much about sellers. So how can we turn the corner here? Now the FIG team does a great job of that. They have their accolades for front and center when you kind of scroll down the website. And what accolades do is it really helps build trust for the consumer. They also have 2 strong calls to action. Are you looking to sell your home or looking for a home value? So 2 different calls to action in order to capture those sellers. And they do have a seller solution blog section right on like the bottom of their homepage. And when I talk to real estate agents all the time, one reason why they don't blog consistently, I would say the number one reason, is they really don't know what to write about. So when you're sitting there, you know, day in and day out, having these conversations with sellers, some of the problems that they're looking to solve, what their situation is, like how can you turn that into a blog article? So buy before you sell is a great example. And the FIG team has that right on their homepage. And really what that shows the consumer is, hey, like I have the experience to navigate this tricky situation for you. It helps build trust. If you go to Veronica's website live, if you click that learn more button, it actually is a lead capture page. So she's really making her website work for her to get some of these seller leads. So that's the next step is like, how can you just tweak your website a little bit, make it more seller based to capture more sellers on that end. So there is different messaging and timing that's pretty interesting. So when you're thinking about, you know, putting seller messaging everywhere, when you're looking to put these calls to action on your website, there's 4 different options, right? We have here. So sell your home. Those are people that are really interested in selling their home like pretty soon. It's 0 to 6 month life cycle, 31% go to market in 12 months. So that's a huge chunk. The cash offer, that's 6 to 18 month cycle, 22% go to market in 12 months. Some of you guys might be thinking, you know, I don't have a cash offer solution. Nowadays, there are, you know, different companies you can look to partner up with. A few examples are Homeward, Open Door, OfferPad. A lot of times, local companies and investors are available in your area as well. But the interesting part of a cash offer is that only about 2% of people request a cash offer actually end up taking it at the end of the day because they realize how much money they're leaving on the table. So it's like a great strategy to, you know, get those conversations going. A lot of time, like these people are in certain situations where they want to sell their house quickly. So they have like some sense of urgency behind it. Yeah, so if you can figure a way to have a cash offer messaging, that would be helpful as far as getting new leads in. Next one is CMA requests. That's 6 to 18 month cycle, 18% go to market in 12 months. Then the next one is home value messaging, 18 to 36 month cycle, 8% go to market in 12 months. So you can see here, you know, agents want listings now, but they also want listings in 6, 12, 18, 36 months down the road. How can you vary some of those messaging? And it's interesting because on the FIG team's website, they have like the 2 call to actions on their homepage, and one is like sell your home. The other one's home value, right? So sell your home is more like people wanting to do it sooner rather than later. They sell your home as people wanting to sell their home like, you know, soon. And home value messaging is a little bit farther out, but you want to have both because if somebody just is kind of interested in their home value and they're at the beginning of the process, like they're probably not going to fill out a sell your home call to action because they're not ready for that. So you want to have a couple different options in order to capture sellers at different stages of the funnel. The next step to this is putting some automation in place to get messaging from a seller perspective. And again, if you think about like the life cycle of like these different leads that you're capturing, right? People that want to sell now, but people want to sell 3 years from now, you need to get automation in place so you're catching them at the right time. So this example, you can use different, email marketing tools, but again, 80% of databases are buyers. We want to start messaging them from a seller perspective with home value messaging with a clear call to action. This one in particular, it goes to like a home value tool, many different home value tools to link to, but the best cadence that we find is about every 2 weeks to send like some type of home value email to stay in front of people and kind of catch them at the right time. And the last stage of the funnel, of course, is convert. Like at the end of the day, you guys want more listings. And in order to do that, are you using some sales best practices, calling quickly, calling multiple times? If you have teams, like, are you able to work on their process and hold them accountable? Really look at like their wins and their losses, right? If they are not winning a listing, like what happened? Did something happen in the sales process? Did something happen during the listing presentation? And really learn from that. And then the wins as well, like what went well and how can they apply that to different deals. And I have a couple more seller tips for you guys. So Google Business Profile is really important. Let me scoot this down here. So Google Business Profile, when again, sellers are doing their research and making a hiring decision, oftentimes, they're going to Google listing agent near me or real estate agent near me. What happens is the Google Business Profiles, pop up. The higher your ranking is, the more exposure you're going to get. Sellers are more likely to click and check out your profile. There are a few different ways to improve your ranking. One way is you want to have your complete profile. You want it accurate information, of course, but you want it to match all the different platforms across the internet. You want to request reviews, of course. So the FIG team has, over 700 reviews. How can you put that in your sales process? So you're asking for reviews every single dime consistently. A big one also is to respond to reviews using keywords. So if you get a review in, good or bad, responding to all the reviews, examples of keywords are, home, condo, townhouse, location-based keywords, school system, neighborhood, city, town, and just to respond every review consistently. Some people don't know you can actually post content on the Google Business Profile as well. So like posting your listings, posting your blog content. If you have that blog content, again, using those keywords in your blog content. So all of these things will help you with your ranking. Just like anything with marketing, you have to be consistent with it. So say like you're ranking really well right now. If you kind of drop the ball and it's not something you update regularly, you can lose your ranking. So it's like you should want to post, once a week as an example, but there is a helpful tool. It's called localfalcon.com. And if you guys want to check to see how you rank versus the other real estate agents in your area, it's a really helpful tool to figure that out. And say you implement some of these best practices, like, can you check it again in, 30 days from now, 60 days from now, see how you can improve your ranking over time. And I did get some bonus content I wanted to give you guys. So I don't know if you're familiar with Jimmy Mackin of Listing Leads. So he has a really great Instagram page. If you guys want to follow him, he's always sharing like helpful tips. But I let him know that I was meeting with you guys today, and I asked him for his best email template for you guys to send. So this is really timely, especially for this time of year. And the subject lines, can I prepare your home value report? Hi, first name. Next week, I'm preparing a personalized home value report for my clients. My clients love these reports because they provide an up-to-date, accurate assessment of their home value using recent sales data and insight tailored to their property. Can I prepare one for your home? P.S. Unlike online estimates, this report is customized specifically for your home, making it far more reliable. So this is essentially an email blast. This messaging actually works really, really well with past clients, sphere of influence, old leads, new leads. So it's actually like could be a full database blast. So yeah, feel free to take a screenshot or a photo, and love to hear any feedback. I hope you guys get a bunch of listing appointments from it. And just to recap, 5 steps to take immediately. Step up your Google Business Profile and your website with seller messaging and seller lead capture. get some seller messaging everywhere, build a strong homeowner database by converting those buyer leads into seller leads, put some automation in place centered around home value with a call to action, and start building a seller-based business. Again, my name is Sarah. I'm from Fellow. If you guys haven't heard from Fellow, we're a database engagement tool to help agents get more listings out of their database. Veronica and I are actually hosting a group webinar this Thursday, so just a few days at 11 Eastern. And I'm going to be going through the platform. And more importantly, Veronica and our sales director, Harold, are going to be chatting about their experience with Fellow, how they implemented into their business and the impact they're seeing. And we're also offering friends of the FIG team some special pricing. And this is only really for Veronica's inner circle. So we wanted to make sure to invite you guys. If you want to scan the QR code, you can register. Even if you can't attend live, you can still scan to register and we will send you over the recording. So I hope you guys found this helpful.
Getting registered right now. Hold that, keep that, let's keep that
Yeah.
QR code up there.
Awesome.
Even
Yeah, I'm
though,
excited.
here's the thing, even though I already have it, right? I have Fellow, I can't get enough of it because every time that I hear more about it, I learn something new about it. And
For sure.
and so, just some insight. Many of you all who are on this call, you guys know that last year I made a commitment to lock down 50 listings, right? That was my
Good.
goal, 50 listings,
Okay.
which is a very lofty goal for me, and for most agents, but it's pretty lofty for me. And so um, I had the intention and I had the energy and the willpower, but I didn't really have much more than that. I didn't have a solid plan. I didn't have the systems and,
Yeah.
processes in place, like I mentioned earlier. And so, I started hearing about Fellow. I think I first heard about Fellow. I heard about it a few years ago, but then I heard about it again
Yeah.
at EXPCon.
Oh, yes.
And then, yeah, and then I saw, Kyle Whistle I heard him talking about it. I heard Dan Beer talking about it, and
Nice.
then Veronica was talking about it. And so, guys, if you are an agent on this call and you're listening to this saying, I want to build a listing based business where I can scale my business, but also get more of my time back. Because let's be honest, like it's cool to sell 50 to 100 homes a year, but not if you're losing your family at the same time,
Right.
right? And so if you're chasing, buyers and driving all around, the world to try to show homes and do all the things, it's harder to scale. It's not impossible, but it's harder to scale than if you were scaling your business through listings. And that's one of the things that Fellow does so well. And Sarah, you have some experience with farming specifically, right? You were at Curator prior to even Fellow, correct?
Yeah, yeah. I was a curator for a long time. Yep. Wear many hats there.
Yeah. So can you just talk about like the importance of and the power of building a business through listings? Why is that important for agents to be focused more on listings than really the buyer side of the business?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, as you said, like listings is leverage. And Ryan Young, who's like the founder of Fellow, actually just did a breakdown of, I wish I had the slide, but it's how much time it takes to like be a buyer's agent versus a listing agent. And he broke it all down. And it was like 14 hours to be a buyer's agent, and then but versus 3 hours to be a listing agent. And we know one way to get more listings is to market the listings you already have. Like, how can you turn that listing into 2 to 3 more listings by the way you get it out there? So it's like, are you marketing it on social media? Are you, obviously like the yard signs is just huge, right? If somebody drives around a neighborhood and everybody's listing with the same person, but also kind of doing that concept online, right? So marketing the listings
Yeah.
online is a big thing as well, through Facebook, through
Yeah.
Instagram, etc.
One of the ways I've always heard it said, and I love this, I kind of I use it and take it as my own, but listings have babies. Listings have babies, right? And
Oh,
so
yeah.
yeah, right. Listings have babies, and so it's hard for buyers to have babies unless they're kind of referring you directly. You help a
Right.
buyer purchase a home, and then yes, you're promoting it on social media, but you're really at the mercy of hoping that they share it with their friends and family, or somebody sees it that says, "Oh, you helped
Mhm.
my friend, Jenna, buy a house, and we're looking as well." With listings, you're able to own that market and the marketing around self promotion, which is really a cool opportunity. If you're wise and you know how to do it, you can actually kind of do it for the buyer side as well. But it's much easier to do it when you're the one dropping open house signs, and you're hosting events around this listing, and you're doing social media and all of the things that come along with it, door knocking strategies and all of that. um, and if you're already implementing a lot of these other strategies that it takes to help your listings have babies, um, then this is definitely one of the ones that you should consider putting in your toolkit.
Yeah, for
Does
sure.
anybody have any questions for Sarah? Because I do have a question. I'll kind of start out here. Um, I heard you mention, and I took a note. I was taking notes. Um, you were kind of talking about like how these buyers. So what I liked about one of the things I liked about it when I heard about it is that, like, if you have a buyer that you're working with, let's say you have a list of buyers in your CRM, maybe they're older leads or whatever, and you upload them into Fellow. If they have an address, then you can actually, and you put their address in, then Fellow will actually let you know if they ever decide to list their house, and if they sell that house with or without you. And it's painful if you see that somebody that you probably should have gotten that listing from ends up selling that house. But it also is hopefully a reminder that you should probably be doing more than you're doing, so that that doesn't continue to happen. Am I right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah. So you're referring to, it's called our real sellers report, and we'll tell you who in your database is listing with or without you. And it's kind of crazy because like you can set it up and get like an email every morning if like you really want to wake up to like an email like that. But if you kind of break it, yeah, kind of crazy. If you break it down though, you can actually see like who they listed with. So it's super interesting because you can be like, okay, well, this person came in as a CMA request. Like, did we call them? Did we not call them? Did we call them 10 times and they listed with their other agents? So it allows you to kind of get your sales process in place, do like accountability. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. It
I think
also
that's
shows
interesting.
your team where like, hey, like I invested in this database. There's people actively listing in it like every single day. It's like this huge asset. So it's a value add you're giving like your team by having, this database, and then they reach out with more urgency when they're getting these leads in.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, especially when we start talking about farming, right? Like, how many of you all on this call want to own your neighborhood, the surrounding neighborhood that you live in? Like, how awesome would it be that you wake up and you have, you got two listing appointments today. Oh, and they happen to be walking distance from your house. Like, it's in the same neighborhood that you live in, 10 to 15 minutes away. And the majority of your listings are that way. And I think it's really interesting because when we start talking about farming, um, you know, there are some neighborhoods where agents own the neighborhood, if you will. There's already an agent who's been farming that neighborhood, and they are the name. You talk to any of the neighbors and they're like, "Oh yeah, yeah, we've worked with whatever their name is," right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
Most neighborhoods don't have an agent who actually owns it, but I think that seller report or listings report, whichever one it's called, um, will help you to see like who actually owns that certain neighborhood that you might be interested in getting. And keep in mind, guys, like, it is not like you have to knock on doors to go get this information from the sellers, or homeowners. There are lists that you can purchase. And maybe Sarah, you can talk a little bit about that. Whether it's through Core Factor or wherever you want to get these lists. And I believe you can actually even do that through Fellow. But you can get these lists of contact information that you can upload into Fellow, and now that may be what you need to kind of start farming.
Yeah, for sure. There is a couple of tools as well. Like you could do it through Fellow, but PropStream is another one where say you have a list, You can sort by different criteria, like what, how long they've been in the home for, like their equity position, all sorts of like different things. So when you go to and do like a direct mail piece, you're not sending mail to somebody that bought their house 2 months ago, right? Wasting time and money. So you can be really smart and intentional by building really great lists when you get into farming. Yeah, prop stream is a great one. Yeah, high equity. Yeah.
High equity. Okay, yeah, yeah. So you have people who have a lot of equity, which is most homeowners across the country, quite honestly. Who purchased their home maybe before the pandemic, who have a high level of equity, but then you can also sort it by how long they've lived in the home and
Yeah.
all of that. So farming is definitely if you're planning to be a listing agent, selecting a farm is a very, very wise thing to do. Um,
For sure. And
and again,
also with farming, you guys, I'm sure many of you guys know that, but you need that consistency. Like you have to have, be committed to do it for like a year, as an example, with the farming.
let's go deeper on that as we talk about farming. Let's talk about what are some of the things that you've seen. If an agent is on here and they're like, I've had a couple of listings. This is most agents, right? I've had a couple of listings, but I'm not a listing agent. I don't have a farm. Talk to us about like how does an agent start farming a neighborhood? Maybe it's the neighborhood that they live in. What are some of the things they should be considering and thinking about?
Yeah, I think, focusing on where you want to work, kind of like you said, right? If something's 10 to 15 minutes away, like where's like the ideal farm that you want to focus on? And then just having a really specific process in place with again the QR codes. So like Fellow as an example, and I'm sure there's other tools out there. When you have a postcard, there's a QR code and you can scan the QR code and you would know, hey, John from 123 Main Street, scan the QR code. And then you can set up like automated emails behind it. So when you're sending like these pieces of like direct mail and farming, like what's the call to action there? You can't just like send it and like hope they look at it and you don't know if you're getting like an ROI. So that's one thing to consider is, the call to action and then just having the budget to do it consistently. People also do very well with like the yellow letter campaigns. If you guys seen like that strategy where it looks like kind of like a handwritten note. So there's a lot of creative things you guys can do.
Yeah, a lot of people say direct mail doesn't work, but direct mail can work, especially with the right CTA on the right call to action on it. And that call to action, you can always say, you know, call me. I just had an old guy thought it was call me, beat me if you want to reach me. But this ain't impossible, you know what I'm saying? But the QR codes are the way to do it. Now, you can have a QR code that sends them straight to your website. If any of you guys have ever done direct mail, you can have a QR code on your direct mail, and that's kind of a step up from just having here's my phone number, call me, or here's our website, go to this website. People don't like typing out websites anymore, right? And it's not like it's clickable on a postcard. So they want to be able to scan it. Cool. All right. Well, if they scan it, then it goes to your website. All right, that's great. That's like level two. But how do you really plus this thing up? How do you know who scanned it? How do you
Right.
know if they went to your website or not? How do you know if what you're spending money on, because it isn't cheap, right? To
Right. It's
to do this
expensive.
on a consistent basis, depending on how many homes you're sending this out to, you want to know what your ROI is. And so a lot of this really is helping you to spend your money smarter and invest your money smarter as an agent. We do have a couple questions that are starting to come in here, Sarah. One is Bobby asks, do you have an efficient process to manage a lot of listings at one time? So the idea is that this is going to help list agents scale their business and they're going to start getting more listings. I know Fellow is not a CRM per se, but is there some type of works through or whatever that helps with that?
Um, so not through Fellow. No, Fellow's more about just like getting you listings. It has a direct integration with a couple CRMs, but then it has like it connects to others, basically any CRM through a Zapier connection, where it's a tool. But I see, do you know the technology Sisu? Is that more like a
I was
transaction
just
management?
yes, I was going to mention. Yeah, I was going to let you finish, but yes, That's what Sisu is going to allow us to do. And now, because we
Yeah.
are, and most everybody on this call is with eXp Realty, we actually have a partnership with Sisu now, where we get
Nice.
Sisu for free. So
Yeah.
that is going to help tremendously with our listing side of the
Yeah,
business.
and it's interesting because Fellow connects to like a CRM, Sisu connects to a CRM, so you can see Fellow data in Sisu as well. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, yeah. Somebody said a lot of listings at one time is a good problem to have. I'd refer the ones I can't take on. Somebody else asked, how many listings per month can we expect to increase with the help of Fellow?
Sure,
Uh,
yeah, no, that's a good question. So the data that we do have, because everybody has a different conversion rate, of course, is we get about 5 hot seller hand raisers per month per thousand in the database. So to break that down for you, if you have a 10,000 person listing, that's like 50 hot seller leads per month that they're asking, hey, for a CMA, they're asking for a call about selling your house. 20,000 person database, it's like 100 hot seller leads per month. So it's about 50 leads per thousand you can expect for hot seller hand raisers. And then, of course, everybody has like a different sales process and conversion rate depending on,
version.
where they take it from there.
All right, Sarah, let's back up then, because somebody asked, Marcos asked, so what is it? If it's not a CRM, what is it? And um, I think it's important for us to really kind of talk about the campaign. Like, what does it do for agents? How is it helping with these listings? Yes, there's a lot of things that you can do with it, but I think it would be helpful to help them understand like the campaigns, and it's kind of a hand raising campaign, and you're trying to get the people that you've uploaded into the system to raise their hand, and you're going to get more insight using Fellow than if you didn't. You're kind of shooting in the dark if you're not. But if you could explain what on the bare basis, what is it?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like at a really high level, and I'd encourage you guys to join, the webinar with Veronica, and I'll screen share and go like really deep with Veronica on it. But essentially it's a database engagement tool. Oh, he's referring to
Oh, Sisu.
Sisu.
Oh, okay. All right. You
Um,
gotta be specific. All right. So you're talking about what is Sisu?
I
Got
think
you.
you.
Okay. So yeah, Sisu is a transaction dashboard, essentially. So Sisu is going to be able to look at help you understand your conversion ratios, your market, what you're spending on marketing dollars, it helps you understand your business at a much deeper level. Most agents don't know how much they're
我刚才忘了那个问题。
excuse
对
me,
对对，
Rebecca, can you? Thank you. Um, so we want to make sure that EXP is so um, it is so agent centric and focused on production that it saw that so many top level agents and top level team leaders are using Sisu at a very high level to understand at a snapshot on a dashboard what's happening in my business. And there's so many different dials. I mean, you can track yourself on how many open houses have you done this month, whether you're committing to one open house a week or if it's every other week. Like, you can literally, I've done that, I did that, how many calls did I say that I'm going to do, right? So if you back into your business and say, I know that in order to get 50 listings this year, I have to make so many calls, I have to do so many door knocking, I have to do so many open houses, I have to do so whatever these things are that I'm committing to, that I'm going to track. It will help you to track it, and then it will show you results against what you're tracking. Anything you want to add to that, Sarah?
No, that was a great recap.
Yeah, Sisu is pretty powerful. You guys get it for free, so there's no reason why you shouldn't. And then if you're
Amazing.
wondering like where are we going to get these marketing pieces from, and I'd love to start sending out direct mail or all this kind of stuff, depending on who you're using for the direct mail stuff. There is there's usually some templates that are out there, but now we have access to Canva Pro. So again, if you guys are just finding out some of the new updates with eXp Realty, we have Canva Pro that we now get for free. So many of you guys are paying for it, or you've been wanting to pay for the paid version, and now you have it for free. So you'll be able to access that and use this as yet an add-on to help grow your listing business as well. Um, I have a question for you, Sarah. And I wrote this down. So if we're buying leads, if we're buying leads, should we be focused on buying buyer leads or seller leads? And the reason I ask it, as you probably understand, is that when you're buying seller leads, you have a much higher cost per lead, and you typically have less lead flow that comes in when you're focusing on buying
Right.
seller leads. However, I've had tremendous success on buying buyer leads and then getting the double in because some of those
Right.
buyers, depending on the price point, they have a home that they need to sell. And so, and they're much cheaper cost per lead. So now you get that many more leads that you can actually upload into something like Fellow, get that address. Now you're helping them to purchase a home, but also following up with them on listing their home potentially. Is that the right idea?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I mean, if you get a great source of seller leads and you're getting a great ROI, continue to do that, of course. But then you also want to make sure you're getting most out of the database that you already have and the buyer leads you already bought, right? So it's like, it's interesting because people put such an emphasis on buying like new leads, and new leads are super hard to convert, right? You have to call them quickly, you have to call them multiple times, they're falling through the cracks. Like big databases are really hard to manage. So people are really laser focused on like getting new leads, and then their agents aren't really calling the leads, or so you kind of have to look at the big picture, and then see if like you're getting consistent business from the database and the leads you already have. I would do that too before spending all this money to get new leads. It's like get more out of what you already have, and then continue with the lead gen.
The key right there. That's smart business right there. Get more out of what you already have. There's teams that are out here that have 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 leads in their database, and they don't know if these folks are selling or buying or what.
Right. Yeah, it's
Until an
tough.
agent decides to pick up the phone and say, "Hey, I saw that you were looking at our website years ago." Blah, blah, blah. They're like, "Oh yeah, we already sold.
Yeah.
We sold and bought. We bought two
Yeah,
houses
and
and
you know
sold
what's
three."
interesting
Right?
too is like because people I talk to all the time and they're like, "Oh, I have like super old leads in there," but it's like, okay, like an old buyer lead from 5, 6 years ago might be ready to sell, right? So the
Absolutely.
old leads aren't always bad. So
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's great. A great addition to what you've been saying so far. Anybody else have any questions? I see somebody said those of us in the Fast Cap are already using our free version of CISA. Yeah, yeah. Fast Cap is man, they've already been using it at a very, very high level. The Fast Cap program is a newer program that EXP has rolled out where newer agents and seasoned agents can really understand how to begin building their business from the foundation up, and it's been pretty powerful. They've seen conversions and additional uh, I'd say multiples of agents who went from booking one or two appointments a week to now, 4 appointments per week or something like that. The
awesome.
results have been tremendous if they're doing the work. You got to do the work.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? The consistency is the key. All right. Well, can you put that link up again, or
Yeah,
the
sure.
that QR
QR
code
code?
for anybody
Yeah.
who did not get a chance to
All
click
right.
on
There we
that?
go, guys.
Yeah, so guys, scan that. It's very simple. I already did it. Just put your information in there, get it on your calendar. And again, if you're saying that you're focused on growing a listings-based business, then whether you sign up for Fellow or not, being a fly on the wall, being on this call and hearing how, a mega producer like Veronica is using systems and tools like this, and learning how to not only get listings, because that's the key. It's not just about getting listings, it's about leveraging the listings that you have. I mean, there's no coincidence. It's not by accident that you know the relationship that Veronica had with Zillow and became like Florida's premier Zillow listing queen, right? Like that was her relationship. Why? Because she was already executing listings at a very high level with systems and processes and the right people in place. How was she doing that? Well, she was doing that because she was being smart about the systems, and getting the most out of what she already had in her hand, which she was able to now leverage into new relationships. And so those new relationships created even more listings, which created more opportunities, which created a larger team, which creates more income, and so on and so on. And so don't just look at where you want to be in 2025, right? It's not just about what you want to do next year. I think one of the problems that we tend to have, especially as small business owners, is that we tend to kind of think small. We think about next year and how what we want to do next year, but then the goal, but that allows us to have procrastination in some of the activities we take and the things that we do, because we're kind of thinking small, just like, oh well, if I don't do it today, I can do it tomorrow because I just got to do these little things and then I'll hit my goals for next year or next week or next month, whatever it is. But if you start thinking about like, all right, what do I kind of want this to look like 3 or 5 years from now? And if that goal is big enough, then there's a lot of work that you got to start doing now in order to hit that. Does that make sense? And so that means we don't have time to procrastinate. That means like you got to be at the right tables, at the right meetings with the right people, getting the right information, and then taking action on what you're learning. And so I just again just want to tell you guys, whether it's this meeting that we're talking about with Veronica and Sarah, um, and others, like focus on what you're focused on, whatever that thing is, and just go deep, because next year I think it's going to be great for a lot of people. Um, and but as some of you guys have probably spoken to, and this is an unfortunate truth, but I've spoken to plenty. I was telling Bobby about this. I've spoken to plenty seasoned agents who are actually complaining that there haven't been more enough agents who have fallen out of the industry yet. Like there was this expectation that like a third of agents were going to quit the business and go off somewhere, and that didn't quite happen. We saw some attrition, but we didn't see it at the level that we were kind of anticipating it to be, especially after the NAR lawsuits and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know if people are just holding on until like December 31st, right? They're like, maybe I can get one more closing so I don't have to shut the whole thing down. But there are people who are banking on your fall. And the good news is you get to write your own story. Like you get to, we're all going to be a statistic. The question is, what side of the coin are you going to be? Right? What statistic do you want to be? And so I just commend you guys for one, showing up to the Gap Mastermind, especially you, those of you who can show up consistently. But two, making big decisions on where you want to be. And if you haven't made that decision yet, then reach out to your leaders, reach out to your team leaders. You can reach out to me, reach out to the leaders that are in our group to help get some clarity on where you're trying to go next year and beyond. Because we've locked arms, Global Alliance, man. We've locked arms, and we're headed to some really big places and some really cool destinations together. And we want you all to be a part of it, which is why we do these calls. But you gotta know what you want. And you got to be willing to roll. All right. All right. You can shut that one down, Sarah. Oh, and we can also follow her on Instagram. So
Yeah, it's just hello, Sarah. Yeah.
Hello, Sarah. Kind of like hello, Sarah, but fellow Sarah. All right. Do we have another question there? All right. Awesome. All right. Well, I think if there aren't any other questions, I don't see any other. Anybody else have anything? No? Good to go? All right. Well, we will see you again very, very, very soon, Sarah. So this is a
Yeah,
goodbye.
wonderful.
This is
This
just
was a lot of
simply,
fun.
yeah, this is simply ta-ta for now. And
Sounds
man, I
good.
hope you guys got something out of this, took some good notes. I got a local Falcon prop string. I got a whole bunch of stuff over here. So I'm looking forward to this, and then I'll continue to plus it up with what I have already. Thank you again. And thank you all for attending the Gap Mastermind. We'll see you next Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern time. Same bat time, same bat channel. We'll see you then. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.